I'm so pleased to be joined from the other side of the world from Penna Taylor. Penna, how are you doing?
Great, Giles. Thanks very much for having me. I'm feeling very honoured that you've given this time for us today.
Well, it's wonderful, isn't it? And for me, right now, we're recording, it's late at night. But for you in sunny Queensland, it's early, isn't it?
Well, it was a very early start today. It's about six a.m. But sunny is not how we've experienced it this year. We're actually going through what they said for the last week. We were going to have a very vicious cyclone, and we haven't. So we've had a lot of rain in the last couple of days. Unfortunately, some of the areas further south to us that seem to be getting a lot of these types of storms as well
Right.
have experienced really destructive winds. Places like the Gold Coast and the hinterland of Byron Bay around and Byron around there seems to be on a hit list. And we have previously too here, but putting the golden net of protection over us, and we've only just had probably what we call a reasonable amount of rain, about probably 400 mils
Yeah.
in the last day and a half, 2 days. So it's nothing exciting. I mean, we've had a metre of rain in an hour here. So
Wow.
that's a game changer, let me tell you.
Oh, absolutely. No,
So it's not such a big thing at the moment.
wonderful. Now, we are here to talk about your incredible project, Foundation 55. Now, kind of sounders out there, I'm just going to give you the website, foundation55.ngo, because I want you after the show to have a fantastic look through this. Incredible work you're doing. So, let's just go back to the beginning. It's about connecting to the earth, it's about protecting the earth, it's about getting that sense of the sacred back in our lives, for people, for the place, for the planet. But where did it all start for you, Penna?
Well, for me, I think it's been a journey of my entire life coming into being. Um, Perhaps recognizing my soul's purpose. And when I was 22, I was gifted a set of calling shells. And in Indigenous Australian culture, the calling shells are a very large shell that's used in the coastal mobs to call the mobs together for ceremony.
Right.
And at this time in our planet's history, it's it's appearing more like it's one mob,
Mm.
calling one mob together, the rainbow mob, the mob who are here to bring light to the planet and to help Gaia and all the other souls on it who are shining to ascend and to bring an abundant life to us, which is our soul's right to experience. And so I was gifted these callings 22, not knowing what they were, but knowing that was super special, and always knowing that if I had a fire, I would be taking those shells with me first. And who knows
Right.
why? It was just an inner knowing. Um, and then shortly afterwards, so within months, I found myself living on a bora ground, a ceremony ground. And it was a very spiritually occupied country, Giles, like nothing else I've ever experienced in my life. It poltergeist activity, and that all occurred following destruction in the earth on that ceremony ground.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was they were there and I saw them and we interacted, but it wasn't an aggressive interaction.
Mm.
So that was a 22, and I was, a woman that was always, getting on my surf ski, going into the ocean, connected very much with animals and the trees, and I've always been that person. That's where I find my strength is through my country. So that has led my soul on quite a journey, and it's always been through creativity and through creativity connecting to country. And I find myself here on the Sunshine Coast, which is about 2.5 hours away from where I was living on the Bora ground in Bachelor Country, in Burrell and Harvey Bay. So here now, and bought a property nearly 24 years ago, which has also seen a grave amount of devastation. And I'm not just talking physical devastation, because that's what follows when you've had spiritual degradation
Mhm.
and there's been blood spill or there's been wrongdoing. And then it sets off a path. And it's the Watiko mindset, it's the mind
Mhm.
virus
Yep.
that has entered in the country. And my job at the moment, and what I'm doing a lot of, is that I'm tracking that energy, and
Right.
I'm tracking it so that we can energetically
Yeah.
go, go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Tran
uh, yeah, it
Beautiful.
was a very interesting time. And I've had a big job here because there was child abuse and all sorts of horrendous activity. And I just happened to live on a ley line highway. So it's been a world of discovery
Yeah.
and such a blessed discovery, even though
Mm.
it has brought enormous challenges. Um, that's why us shining ones are here, isn't it? Not to overcome the challenges and to be the beacons, to show other people that if we can do this and we can move forward.
Beautiful. Well, it's brilliant that you're broadcasting this from Australia because we've been running KindaSound with presenters all over the world, coming up for 5 years now.
Wow,
And
wonderful.
at the start of February, there's an Australian guy who lives in England called Matthew Liam Gardner, and he
Mm,
decides to walk from the very south coast of England right up to the top of Scotland, and it's called the Spine of Albion. And there's these
wonderful.
this ley line and these two energetic serpents that intertwine it.
Mm,
So this guy
yes.
sets off at the start of February when it's generally very cold in England.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
he's done this walk and he wants to bring about a cultural renaissance, of awakening the earth. And so we've been following what he's done, and he's been on the road, he's been doing little voice notes, and we've been putting them on KindaSound. But it inspired me, and I thought I'm going to reach out to other people around the world
Mm,
who are interested and who are actively working on the ley lines on this earth energy grid, on creating sacred sites. And what a journey that has been in itself, and it's ongoing. And here I find myself with you talking about this wonderful work that you've been doing. And one thing that comes out of it, Penis, is that it's not all easy. It's not all love and light. It's not all rainbows and unicorns when we're doing this work. We can sometimes uncover some challenges, but when we bring in the
yes.
light, it dissipates the darkness.
Always shining the torch into the corners never allows the dark to exist, but it doesn't mean that the dark isn't there. And
Mm.
one of the things that I would say that I have really seen significantly so in the last couple of years, particularly as we are going through these massive global changes,
Yep.
is that the ley lines have been expanding and duplicating.
Yep.
So where they weren't before, we have new ones who've appeared alongside. And literally there is, and I mean, I'm on the country all the time, going to different people's properties,
Mm.
helping them improve their energetic signatures and realise what it is that they have where they are living or trying to work or whatever. But one of the things that I'm seeing is there's not a spare kilometre really on this country that doesn't have a ley line on it. And so we are literally all connected through the great energy flow of the
Yes.
ley lines. And this is one of the things that I say to is despite the fact that people may go, oh, but I can't see them. Um, my work is to try and help people to develop their inner seeing, inner knowing, inner feeling to interact with the ley lines, because what happens where you are, if there's a disruption in the ley, like you say, on a sacred site or just an accident on a black hole in a corner, that energy travels, and it
Mm,
travels because it's the vascular system of the planet,
mm,
and it travels all the way through and then it comes out somewhere else. And so it's all of our responsibilities to keep the lays happy. And
mm,
this is one of the amazing things that I have always felt. Our Indigenous people from Australia are particularly um, enlightened and soul connected to the planet, because that's what they did.
yep,
They travelled on trading routes,
yep,
and a lot of our highways that we see here now are what we would call their song lines, where
yep.
they travelled on these trading routes. And as they travelled those lines, they sang the songs, and they recognised that, oh, this fella, he's not so happy. This ley line, we've got to talk to him more. We've got to sing him up and, sing him up and give the energy, and keep him happy. And that was a constant, constant doing of all of the Indigenous people every single day.
Mm,
That is something that we have lost.
yeah.
Most definitely, we have lost. And now bringing the songs back into the lays, bringing the
Oh,
harmonies
oh,
back into the lays, and I see you do that so beautifully with your singing project. And it is also too for us to help us find our voices again,
mm,
because many of us people who have walked this path and been may have been born into a life where we were not recognised for our skills or the way that we see things. So we've got to find that voice again and interact with the energy flow of the planet and bring the happiness and the joy and the abundance back. And this is really very much the core of my work
beautiful.
at the moment, as well as helping people on a very much a daily level to get their abundance and sanctuary right on their properties and businesses.
Amazing, amazing. So on your website, you've got it's stunning. So I'm just going to give you that again, kind of sound. It's foundation55.ngo. Absolutely beautiful website, and there's some pictures of on it of your property. So
Thank you.
just absolutely wonderful. So just could you just share a few things that you've done? You said before it was, it had some challenging things happen on it. What's a few things that you've done, or maybe a few things that people out there can do to help raise the vibration?
Thanks, Giles. Thank you for asking that, because that's really core to understanding how you can interact in the lays is not by sitting passively on the couch.
Yep,
It's not. You must interact with the earth.
yep,
And um, when I first came to this property in Black Mountain, um, there had been quite obviously blood spilt here,
yep,
and that's a long conversation of understanding
yep,
that I'd love to share with you, but it would be too long to go into here. Um, and the whole property was covered in rubbish. And we're talking about the Wetiko energy of putting oil into your water source
yep, yep,
and then putting that on vegetables that would then feed children. There was 13 children. They were all abused on this property. The land was bereft of life.
yep.
There was nothing. There was a couple of pine trees, which I knew to look for. Spirit had guided me to say, look for that. You'll go through a tunnel near a creek and you'll be close by to the property, and you need to look for the pine trees because that's your signpost. And they always
Right.
have been my signpost, because of the amplification energy,
Yep,
which
yep.
I am very strong into helping people provide that energy on their properties through planting.
Hmm.
And so I went about going, oh my God, what will I do? What will I do? This place is what I can afford. At the time, I was an artist, making my living as an artist and designer, and I just opened a little shop in Karoi, the township of Karoi near Noosa, and we did a lot of design in terms of furniture, architectural glasswork and whatnot. And that's where my skills in making websites look nice come from. I can make things look pretty. And I certainly have done that in our environment here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about bringing the beauty back for our
Yeah.
life. It's not just about the Barbie look, it's about bringing true energy into your environment.
Mm.
So one of the things that I worked with was I worked directly with spirit. So there's an ancestor who I have worked with since just before I stepped onto this property. And he is an Indigenous spirit, and they don't generally tend to talk to women. And he's a warrior, but fortunately for me, I have received his messages, and now I'm working with another also, which is absolute blessing. But he would say things, send me little things like there's gold in the water. That's it. There's gold in the water. Okay. We need to restore the waters. So we're watching where the waters are, watching where the springs are. Okay, that's been over years destroyed. Clean those things out.
Mm.
Restore the waters, sing up to the water, love
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah.
It's our whole lifeblood, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
everything. It's Gaia's lifeblood. It's our lifeblood. So restoring the waters, adding energy, because there was only death and upset, and so bringing in colour
Right.
and creating areas of colour.
Yep.
Then bringing back the life and the death trees. That was very, very important to me.
Right.
What has happened in Australia is that culturally, the connection to country was purposely destroyed.
Yep.
So the connection to country being for Indigenous people, traditionally they were born under a tree, and that is their tree. That's their specific tree, and it is then their life's journey happens, and when they're nearing death, they return to the tree.
Wow.
Certain trees, particularly in our area, even recorded to the 1900s, there were bones of Indigenous people who were then wrapped in skins and placed into the big fig trees. And these were traditionally near Bora rings, and then those places have then been commandeered by councils and other such structures. So on them, and the trees were then destroyed, and that severs the cultural connection to country,
Right.
and it displaces people because that was their anchor
Yeah.
of where I come in from, I go back to.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, so for myself here, it was very important for me to bring back the birth and the death trees. And one of my first jobs with my daughter Olivia, when she was 2, I had kept her placenta, and we went together and we went down into what was then still paddock, and we planted a big Moreton Bay fig on her placenta, and she still to this day can remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very
Wow.
special for her. And so that tree now has replicated and had babies on my property. And we are all connected through our DNA. And there is absolutely no way that I would ever allow anything to happen to those trees.
Yeah. Right.
Because they're my brethren, they're our
Yep.
family.
Yep.
And the amount of protection that those trees have then grown up and given us in terms of these storms, which really significantly started happening in this area around 2006. Like, I mean, really significantly happened. And I've lived in this region pretty well my whole life. So it was, those trees have been my absolute saviours, and we're so grateful for their presence. And it's got to that point now on the property here, which we call billabong, because we brought back the billabongs.
Yes.
And they're places where you can come back to rest, to revitalise, to recharge. And it's a place of security and safety. And that's the energy that we've created. And just recently, I had another light worker say to me, they was talking in front of a group, and this is a person that's come here over many times, particularly in the last year. And she had said to this group that my property had the same feel as Findhorn in Scotland. And that blew me away. Not because I haven't been to Findhorn, but I've heard
Mm.
about its magical properties. And that for me was just a real heartfelt moment to see that the work that I've been putting in is actually being tangibly felt by others. So when they come here, they can also heal. They can also develop the knowing, develop the understanding of the path of working with Gaia. And it's not just going and turning up to sites and going, ha ha ha. It's actually physically interacting and grounding yourself. Grounding yourself, so important. So your friend that is walking, he's doing that. He's grounding himself in the energy. He's walking the lines, and that grounding is so very important when you're working with the ley line energy, because anything can come at you through those lines, and
Yeah.
you need to be very solid in your knowing and in your spiritual presence. Particularly when you're working with other people, because that it's your job then, and you know that's what we do. The foundation is that we provide protection,
Mm.
um, and it's protecting people, place, and planet. So it's very important to me to provide the people who are coming with us on our field days into the lays to do the harmonisation, to sing into the lays, to visualise, to do the meditations. I write specific meditations for specific energetics on the lays. And it's important for me that they are safe when we're
Yes.
doing that. Yeah,
One
that's, I reckon.
100%. I mean, it's what a beautiful saying there, protecting people, place, and planet.
Thank you.
That's very inspired, isn't it? Very inspired. Do you have a favorite part of your work? Because I mean, I'm on the website now, and it is fantastic. It's a beautiful website, but there's lots of different things that you do. Every single one I'm interested in myself. So if I ever get back to Australia, I'll come and see you. But is
Oh, I
there a
see.
favorite? Is there a? I mean, it might be a. I don't know if it's a difficult question to answer, but a favorite part of the work.
You know, I really love teaching because that was my very first job. I was an arts teacher, but of course, people like me don't last in systems too long because it's just too
Sure.
constricting. And I love the impact that teaching has in that. If you've got 10 people in a room, that's 10 light soldiers.
Yeah.
They're all going out and they're spreading the information.
Yeah.
One of the things I also, that's a blessing because I really feel that my skills as a teacher I can now implement strongly.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can help people learn and help, particularly a lot of people who haven't been great at school. I understand that we learn in all different ways. So this is
Yes.
something in my courses I really strive to do for my students, is to
And
provide them that time.
isn't it
Mm,
fantastic as well how some of the people that didn't thrive at school in that environment
mm,
can be the ones that have the greatest gifts in the alternative spheres, be it of
absolutely.
dowsing or what whatever healing, it isn't. But these people need to be told exactly what you've just said. They need to be told they are welcome, they are valuable, and they have gifts. Because sometimes the school system's not told them that. And they're
Absolutely.
downtrodden and they're, oh, what can I do? But if they can find someone like you, then they can light up and they can go, wow, I can do this.
Absolutely. And that has been an absolute joy for me to
Yeah.
see that I could provide that to people who've had not good learning experiences. And for them, it's really challenging even to come into a course or a workshop with that background of trauma that, to think, oh, I want to learn this, but am I going to experience this? And I really feel very blessed that I can impart those wonderful, go out onto the property, let's go out, let's walk in the lays, let's look at them, let's feel them, let's develop some knowing about what your gifts are as how you can interact with the lays, whether it's you can smell it, or you can actually physically see it, or you can feel it, or maybe a combination of all of those things, and how you interact with the animals in the lays, because they have such an important job too. And showing people that you're just not there by yourself. You're actually there with this lovely energy team. Sometimes they're fairies, sometimes they're bees, and I work a lot with bees on the property here in the lays, and the birds as well. And they're there in support of you to show you the signposts. But you have to have the eyes to look, and you have to take the time. And it's not about sitting in front of a computer over, a Zoom screen, because people can't feel that. They need to step onto country and feel the energy, and I can show them too. This is, what happened down the road from us when one of the creeks was being dug out and disturbed, and then for the next 2 years we had a disrupted ley line that was killing trees like and and these were established 10-year-old trees, and the energy was killing it. So it's like, how do we restore this back? So that's where we've been working with electroculture and earth towers to bring that security back into that force field. So generating that amazing force field around that interacts with the lays when we're not there. The same with the bees. I have a beehive, and that beehive is in the ley line, one of the ley lines. And it's a ley line that works up into a more troubled spot on another property. And it's they hold a 432 hertz constantly, 24 hours a day.
Beautiful.
And I just harvested 14 kilos of honey out of one hive, and I will get that every 6 months out of one hive.
The bees are vibing.
They are so happy,
They
and
are
we've
so
had
happy.
a lot of rain anyhow, but they're still happy and they're producing. And I didn't take all of the frames because, of course, you need to leave them
Of
little
course,
babies.
yes.
So that was
100%.
wonderful, and not get stung or anything like that,
Yeah.
because they're so happy,
Because they
and
know, they sense,
they
don't
know,
they?
they really
They
do,
really do. I was
and they
out
keep
for
them happy.
I was out for a walk today with the wife, and we live close to the St Michael line, which runs from
Yeah.
Cornwall over to the coast, from the west to the east of England. So it's just it's just yonder from us here. So we went to explore, and we're out on this track. And then I just kind of looked over to me. Oh, I thought, oh, maybe we could. And then there was a blackbird appeared, doo, doo,
Yeah,
doo, doo, doo. And then he just flew, and it was just showing where to go. The
absolutely.
signs are
Yeah.
always there, aren't they? If we have eyes to see, and we
And
can
hearts to feel.
and hearts to feel,
Mm.
and absolutely
Absolutely.
hearts to feel. Um,
Mm.
talk to me a little bit about Organite.
Orgonite. I don't make the orgonite. One of our affiliate partners with the foundation, Sharon from Earth Healing Tools, makes the orgonite. Uh, but it is a tool that we use throughout the property to create an energetic field of protection.
Yeah,
So when we go on to lays in specific sites, we make sure that we've all got orgonite. We also use plant healing like
yeah,
mugwort to
yeah,
come with us. I'll grow mugwort and we bring that fresh. We may even ingest mugwort in a
yeah.
tea before we go on to the lays as well, depending upon what we're working with.
Sure.
So the orgonite's really important, particularly around the EMF
Yeah,
issues
yeah,
that we're experiencing. We're kind of blessed here in Billabong because the amount of trees that I
yeah,
have here now block the energy
yeah,
of the
yeah,
5G towers, even though they are, in Karoi and on the top of the mountain. But the trees are providing us with protection. So if there
yeah,
was ever any reason to regenerate your property,
yeah.
it's and what those blessed beings do for us,
Wow.
it's that reason. But when we're going into places where it's quite clear that there's a huge ley line, they've got a tower right in it,
Hmm.
and that's going over to a place where there's been drownings and deaths and all
Yes.
sorts of stuff. It's very important to take the organites and to put them around those spaces to protect us. And you can also take the program water. I work a lot with water.
Yes.
I bring the water from the property here, which has an abundant signature in it.
Hmm.
And I also program it very strongly. And then we take it onto that country and I flick it around.
Yeah.
And if flick it on top of
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
so we'll say things like love, abundance, health, protection, happiness, ease, depending upon what it is that we're talking about. Freedom is a big one.
Yes.
Freeing the energy, freeing things that have been bound
Yes.
within a darker energetic signature. Uh, and so we free the energy, free it through light, through love, never giving love to dark, always transmute it through love.
Transmute it.
Yeah.
Transmute it. And just that flicking there, I just brought back an old memory of mine. There's a technology of that Victor Schauberger had developed of these amphoras. And my
Yes.
friend in England here, he got some made in the Far East, and they'd plant them under the ground. They put some water in the spring water and zinc and copper in it, and stir it round, and it makes like a battery. And then what they'd do on the full moon is they'd get a stick and they'd flick. And he said, as you're flicking it, because how the water falls is all in these golden mean proportions of
Absolutely.
this. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's simple,
Heaven. It's
so
heavenly.
simple.
And it is. It is going back to the simple ways, the ways which medicine was always done and earth medicine was always done. And here when I'm doing that, I either use a very special oyster shell that I have that comes from country where my soul has been connected with, and also this life has been connected with. Or I use she oak, which is, if you've seen the movie Avatar, and they get their hair and they
Yeah,
connect
yeah,
it into
yeah.
the tree Awa. Well, the she oak in Australia is Awa,
Wow.
and that's the tree that Aboriginal people and elders would sit under, and the needles vibrate
Yeah,
and they create a message and they give that to the elders and to the clever men and the clever women, and then
yeah.
they pass that on into the people. So you can also use it as smudge.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful tree and so resilient, but it can be a little bit like, it's not a showy tree,
Sure. Sure.
just a hidden superpower. And so
Oh,
I'll use the leaves, or they're like long needles,
yeah.
but very soft and pliable, and I
Yeah.
dry them, I flick them onto
Oh,
everybody and onto the country,
oh.
and it's like, take this superpower, take
Yeah,
that
yeah.
superpower.
Oh, wonderful.
It's
Wonderful.
exciting stuff.
Peanut,
Yeah.
I could talk to you all day, but we got to wrap this one up for now. But I think we should
And
do another show sometime in a couple of
I
months
would,
and
I
have
would
a
love
part two, because you're
to.
a collection of many people that I've met in my life.
Oh, thank you.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
from
would
all around the
absolutely.
world. I've kind of, you're a jigsaw puzzle of lots of, which is a beautiful thing, absolutely beautiful thing.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah,
so
thank you.
just over to you for the final. What's your final message for the kind of sounders out there? What's your final message for the world?
To stay calm, to stay calm at this moment, be in the eye of the storm, because that's the calmest place. And I have been in some big cyclones. Let me tell you, physically, that
Mm.
is the calmest place. And we are in an energetic storm at this moment, find a person who has been doing the work for a long time if you're drawn to it. And because that's a person that can really help protect you and teach you in the older ways, and guide you in the way of protecting Gaia when
Yeah.
you're stepping on country. It's not just about us and our egos. So
Mm.
stay calm, stay out of ego,
Yep.
shine your light,
Yep.
be prepared to share all that you have and all that you know with the
Yeah.
right people. But don't expect to get it all in one hit,
Yeah, for sure.
because that's
Absolutely.
not the way the knowledge works.
No.
Um, we're stepping into a time of where we're going to be anchoring ourselves to people who have that energetic signature and that blueprint, the lighthouses. Find your lighthouses and sing. That's one of the biggest things that I have stepped into this year through the help of a very good friend of mine, Julia, from Sing to Thrive, is stepping into your song. Write your song. Giles, would you mind if I read you out my song?
I would love to. I
Have you
hope we've
got
got enough. I
time?
hope we've got time. We've got 1 minute. How long is the
All right,
song?
let me go for it. It's not that long. And this is the song I've written that I'm currently, it's about singing into the lays. And it's called Songlines, and this is a channeled song. And it goes like this. Beautiful country, I sing to you now. Sing into the lines in the sky across the ground. Sing into the waters to run wild and free, singing love into rivers, flowing out to the sea. Sing into the sky that's so crystalline bright, and sing to the stars, guide my path in the night. Sing into the soil, covers the ground like a skin, standing tall with the rocks. We are one, we are kin. I sing to the butterflies, birds and the bees, who travel the tunnels through the forests of trees. I sing golden rivers of light into veins, dissolve any upsets, troubles or pains. With my hands in the dirt, the message is loud, singing love into country, one mob who stands proud. Singing love to my country, singing love into me. It's really that simple to create a life that is free. I am here to help you see, teach your heart to feel and know we are all divinely connected through the one energy flow.